Is Minnal Murali the hero we've all been waiting for and expecting and hoping? Well, I have some thoughts. Let's talk about it. Minnal Murali was directed by Basil Joseph, and it's of course starring Tovino. You have Guru Somasundaram, I believe is a Tamil actor, and you have supporting characters from Baiju, Aju Varghese, Mamako, and a whole cast of supporting characters that did a fairly good job or decent job here. But I'm just going to dive right in terms of what I liked, what I disliked, even as I share. I'm not going to necessarily cut it into pros and cons. Was I looking forward to it? Yes, but with checked expectations, right? After watching the trailer, the sense I got is this is going to be a fun movie. It's going to be a Hancock. Those of you who are old enough can remember Hancock. I love the concept of it, right? Where you have this regular guy, even in fact a homeless dude that has superpowers, right? So it was a grounded superpower movie. It was unique enough for the Malayalam movie industry to have its own superhero, at least in a very long time, if I may say. So yes, in some ways I was looking forward to it, and I already told my family 24th evening, let's try to watch this. So we were all, pretty much ready. I was following the commercials, the advertisements, the creative advertisements that Netflix had put out to promote this movie. Now, I also got to see the interview with Basil Joseph, the director, and Tovino, and I just wanted to get a sense of where they're coming from. How did they feel about the movie? Even before I got to watch it. And from the interview, first of all, the director, Basil Joseph, seems like a really nice dude. He seems humble, and he also seemed self-aware of how large the movie should be, and at the same time, the limitations of his budget. And he's aware of all the other movies out there. He's also aware that his movie, because it's in this superhero genre, is inevitably going to be compared with what's out there, right? So I felt like he's going for a unique angle. I like the fact in the interview, Basil mentioned that he put a lot more focus in terms of his budget on the script. He wanted to get the script, the story, the emotional aspects correct. In fact, he even said that he made the movie keeping his parents in mind, right? Parents who have no idea about this entire superhero world. Would they still like the movie was his question. I was excited about that. Tovino, I just like the guy. He seems like a very, very likable, down-to-earth person, right? Even in the interview. And so I can connect that with what I saw in the movie of him as Minnal Murali. Well, the things I liked, like I mentioned, I liked that grounded concept of a everyday hero. I like the background score. I think the most of it, the main song by, again, I'm a huge fan of Sushin Sham. The man cannot do anything wrong, it looks like. So he was good. But there were some parts in the music that I felt was off. In terms of some of the songs were put in particular scenes that basically it didn't go well with that scene. And so I was confused. And when I did a bit of research, it's not just Sushin who's part of the music direction. There's someone else involved as well. So maybe it could be because of that. But nevertheless, I think the main theme song and the main background score is catchy enough. But let's talk about the direction and storytelling. The hero development. What do I think about the hero? Well, I think it felt like they were going for a guy who was fairly self-centered, and he just wanted to move out of his village and go to the US, etc. And I think the arch, I like the concept of the arch that they were going for, right? A guy who was possibly more self-centered, narcissistic, and eventually he grows to be someone who cares for his community, cares for others. So I certainly like that. Now, did they land it? Yes and no. It's a mixed bag if they really were able to convey that growth. The villain, on the other hand, I felt that was really interesting that, a lot of the focus was on the development of the villain. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. The director chose to give the origin story of the villain a lot more focus, give the villain different shades. I think the actor was probably one of the best, and he really pulled off that role. Whatever they wanted to convey through the villain, the actor was more than capable of conveying that. Now, on the other hand, the superpowers, some of it was exciting. There was nothing in the superpowers that was unique, so that was a bit of a letdown. I really wanted this superhero to be unique, not just the fact that he looks Indian or he is from the small village. That's not just his uniqueness. I wish they gave him unique powers, both for the villain and the hero. They have superpowers that we've all seen before. They didn't really clarify what powers each person has. Sometimes you'll be surprised by some of the things that both the hero and the villain would do, and you're like, oh, I didn't know he can do that. It seems like the hero has a limitation, so I liked that. They're not showing that he can do everything. And there was another limitation that was a strength for the villain. So I was like, okay, that's fairly interesting. But then they threw it away. And towards the end, you'll see the hero do exactly what I thought that he cannot do. All of a sudden, out of the blue, no explanation. So the superpowers was somewhat inconsistent. The other part is that the action overall is low budget, right? So if you're going in thinking you're going to get fairly amazing action sequences, not really. I think there was only one towards the end where I thought, okay, they did a pretty good job there. It had my interest. So the other part is the scale of the story. I get it that Basil just wanted to limit it to that village and town of the hero. Hero's named Jason. So I understand that he just wants to limit it to Jason's town. The director could have been better is to flesh out the characters in the town. The town doesn't necessarily seem like a living, breathing town. For example, you see that masterfully done by Aju Joseph's movie. It really feels lived in. A lot of the aspects of the town for me felt two-dimensional and even like set pieces, right? So same thing with the family members and the relationships in the movie. It didn't really feel fleshed out. I know they were showing some flashbacks and things like that, but it just lacked the emotional punch. It just didn't land. Although the music was sad, I know what they're showing on the screen is sad, but I really didn't feel moved along with it. Perhaps because of the way they told the story or developed it, and also the pacing. I do have an issue with the pacing. The first 3/4 of the movie is fairly a drag. Where things sort of pick up and get interesting is when I felt like they had a good opportunity where the hero didn't know who the villain is, and the villain was trying to find out who is the hero, and the rest of the town is in confusion. I felt like that was an interesting angle that they could have really dove into and explored, but unfortunately there were a lot of plot holes and conveniences as well. Inconsistent characters. There are times when, for example, a police who hates Jason would all of a sudden for no reason assume he has powers and feel like he can save us, and only he can save us. It is interesting that I understood the motivation of the villain so much more because there was a lot more focus on his backstory rather than Jason, who becomes Minnal Murali. So I thought that was kind of strange. At least for his first movie, I think they should have focused really on who Minnal Murali is as a person, his growth, etc., etc. But I think the motivation of the hero was often lacking. Towards the end, it does pick up. Like I mentioned, I like that last sort of battle between the hero and the villain. So that was pretty okay. One of the characters I definitely liked and I wanted more of was the little boy, the charming sidekick that we've seen in the promos. I really wish he had more to say and do in the movie. He was fantastic. Every time he was on the screen, honestly, he stole the show. If you're coming in for an outright LOL, laugh out loud riot, that's not what you're going to get either, right? At best, even I was watching with a group of people, at best there were a few chuckles here and there or a few smiles. That's about it. I did feel like they could have shown the discovery of the superpowers. Obviously something happens both to the villain and the hero, them finding out their superpowers. I felt like that could have been a lot more creatively approached. like we've seen in other movies. So I felt like even there they dragged it on for quite a bit, where we're wondering, okay, what's happening with them? Just tell us what is it already. So I think that was a big miss. So overall, great concept. I believe the director wants to make a Minnal Murali 2 and 3 if he has the budget for it. I do appreciate that they even put this movie together, because I know it's been in production hell for at least 2 years with COVID, apparently vandalism. There's crazy schedules of the actor. At the end of the day, my verdict would be, at best, it's an average movie. Would I go around telling people that you have to watch it? Not really. So I felt like the marketing for the movie was a lot more creative in the end compared to the movie itself. That's my thoughts on Minnal Murali. Please let me know, what did you think? Were you awestruck by this movie? Did it live up to your expectations? Would you watch a sequel? Any and every thoughts, let me know down below. I'll see you all in the next video.